What is going on, everybody? Welcome into the Tim Warren Show. I'm coming at you from an undisclosed location in northern Florida. Why? Oh, well, we're visiting my in-laws, my wife's family. Spending the weekend up here with them. My voice getting a little bit better. It's not all the way back, but hopefully it will survive throughout the show today. But of course, we're not here to talk my voice or my location, whether I'm shooting it here or from a spaceship in outer space. We're here to talk about the markets, and the markets have been running through another bloodbath last night. Bitcoin's price collapsed below $95,000 here over the last 24 hours. Does that mean, though, if some of you will know that yesterday I made a video that why I was buying the dips, the buy signals were flooding back in, and those signals were coming before yesterday's crash. Are those buy signals invalidated? Was my video from yesterday the worst video ever with the worst timing and no one should ever listen ever again? Or do I stand by it all today? We're going to talk about why I think that yesterday's video is still very valid, why I still believe these buy signals should be paid attention to, but we're going to deal with the elephant in the room. And that elephant in the room is we're coming towards the end of the week, and there's a couple levels that are very key that are freaking people out, making them potentially dip their toes deeper into the pool of a bear market being here. I want to start off by telling you, as our disclaimer said in the beginning, I'm not a financial advisor, everybody. I am not going to be able to give you a crystal ball perception of what the markets will look like, not over the next couple of minutes, hours, days, months, years, right? Nobody can do this. All I can do for you every single day is come in, address the charts, address the news, let you know what I'm doing, what I'm thinking. Am I scared? Am I happy? Am I bullish? Am I bearish? That's all I can do. It's up to you to continue to do your own research, to listen and process information, and then ultimately make your own decisions on how you want to deal with that information. With that said, I'm not going to apologize, though, for having my own opinion. I think that's the thing that I want to make sure we're clear here in the very beginning. I'm not going to apologize for being bullish, despite the fact that prices have been falling for quite some time. I do apologize that people have been losing money. I do apologize that people are feeling it right now. And I'm not apologizing as if I did something wrong. I'm sorry because I know how much that sucks. And I don't want I don't want to override it and be like one of those guys who's just like, oh, you lost money, screw you, I don't care. No, I do care. And it does kill me that people are losing money. Some people have lost their lives because of this bloodbath that's happening. But I'm not going to apologize for and belittle is I have an opinion on the market. I've seen things play out, and I'm going to express that opinion to you guys in this video with every bit of honesty and integrity I can. Whether I'm right or wrong, we'll have to wait to see about that. And whether you want to follow me or not and listen to me and follow the types of moves I make, that's completely up to you. But I'm going to give it to you the way I see it. That's all I can do. So if that's something you guys are okay with, whether you agree with me or not, smash the like button and make sure you're subscribed to the channel. Guys that are not in a different location, they're at their normal spots here. I still got Shrum. I got Smay. Boys, how are we doing today other than our portfolios?
Okay, it's very cold in here, Tim, and I'm
Good.
not just making a joke about my background. I mean, literally, the fan is blowing right from me from my AC, and it is very cold in here. But I'll say this, Tim, I'm thrilled. I'm ready to just take on these markets with a strong mind.
There we go. Always gotta have a good little word there from Smay. Shrum, how are we doing, my friend? So you got your hodl hat on. Feeling some positivity today. How you feeling today?
Good. It is not cold up here in Virginia. It's actually it's a little chilly, but it's not cold. I've been walking around in my shorts and my t-shirt, walking the dogs as I do, and I'm also buying the dip, Tim. I
Yeah.
had much consternation this morning about the markets, but the reality is that nothing really has changed. Kind of analyzing what the markets are down on today, as we'll get to in a few minutes, it really leads me to conclude that nothing structurally is making me bearish. Things are making me emotional. I don't like to see
Yeah.
the number in my portfolio go down, right? But we don't act on emotion as investors.
Yeah.
We feel emotion and we're aware of our emotion, but we don't act on our emotion.
Yeah. 100%. And I appreciate the people in the comment section right now saying, Tim, you don't have to apologize. No need for it. Everyone pushes their own buy and sell button. That's why I was very clear. What I'm sorry about is not sorry as in I did something wrong. It's more empathy for, man, have you lost thousands of dollars over the last couple of months? By the way, I have too, right? It's not like I secretly sold all of my bags back in August and have been telling you guys to buy them. I'm losing money right there with you guys. The difference, though, is I'm not apologizing for my opinions because I've been through this ride before. Shrum's been through this ride before. Smay's been through this ride before. We remember these key moments where things seem bleak and things seem terrible, and the bears come roaring out and screaming that we're headed for a long-term bear market. And you know what? Eventually, they will be right. And I'm not going to rule out. I'm not sitting here telling you 100% they're not right now. We could be in a bear market, but I still address things from a, like Shrum just said, not emotional. I look at details. I look at logic. I look at theories. I look at charts. I break things down. In my own brain, I break things down, and I make my own decisions based off of it. And that's what I'm not going to apologize for. I'm not going to tell people that I'm sorry that I am bullish when everything feels bearish. And I put this out on X the other day. People were mad at me last week. Some of you watched last week. Do you guys remember last week when we said, hey, guys, we could drop to $92,000? People were upset at me about that. People were upset at me back in August. And here's what I'm upset at myself about this one, actually. Some of you will remember back in August, I said, hey, guys, we got a weekly sell signal here. Oh, Tim, don't talk about weekly sell signals. We just hit a new all-time high. I should have listened to myself. I should have followed the indicators blindly instead of overthinking. Nobody likes to hear the truth sometimes when they need to hear the truth the most. Today, after people last week didn't like me telling them the price could go down, now people aren't liking me saying I'm buying the dip. I think the bottom is in or extremely close. Here's what I got to tell you guys. I put this on X. The reason I'm not going to apologize is because my best calls and the times that I've made the most money in my game over the last 5 years have been when people are upset with me because they don't like what I'm saying. I'm not going to say things based off of whether it makes you happy or not happy. I'm going to tell you what you need to hear. And I have a track record. Study it. Go back and look at it. Sometimes I'm wrong. Sometimes I'm right. I have a track record of being right when everyone on the internet calls me a clown and says that I'm wrong. So go back and look at that for yourselves. You guys are more than happy to do so. OGs will know this. Let's get into it, though. Let's get into the details of what is going on. Let's start off here with the charts. Smay, go ahead and go on over. Bitcoin, of course, has been falling. I'm here on the daily chart. Now, something to be aware of, even the other day, here's what I'll want to make sure I'm clear, because I just kind of went on a little sentence of saying I was right. I want to be kind of clear. I was kind of wrong the other day. I shifted the other day, and I told people I was 60% now. So I used to be like 70%. We had lower to go. After the government shutdown ended, I shifted and said, guys, I think there's a 60% chance the bottom's in. Still a 40% chance it could go lower, but I was confident we could be in. I was wrong about that, right? So if you want to complain about me and say Tim gets these things wrong, what Tim got wrong was giving up the fight too early and knowing that we really had these lower levels to get down here into the 90s. Of course, why did we drop, though? And this is going to be the big thing. And you've heard probably 100 people talk about it at this point because it's about 2 days old at this point. Why did Bitcoin drop here over the last couple of days? It dropped because even though the government reopened, and that should have been bullish, the very next moment they could, the Fed came out and said, hey, we might not cut rates in December. And we'll discuss all that here in a second. But just that little bit of FUD, that little bit of maybe things aren't so bullish, the prices have found some brand new lows for this movement. But you're going to see on the charts, these are not only levels we predicted months ago. Again, we talked about this back in August. We talked about the need to come back down. There was a misdirection move here in October, but really the top kind of was in August. We're hitting some of those signals right here, right now. You can see a very key level of support. Like I said, this indicator, whether you want to follow me or not, whether you want to say I trust Tim's opinion on the markets or not, you know what you should be watching and saying, you know what, I don't even need Tim for this. This indicator flow signals, and this isn't even the pitch for it. I'm not even going to tell you where you can find it. Ask me in the comments later if you want to know where you can find it. This indicator told us sell back here in August. Why? Because we had a bearish divergence, bearish momentum, and negative money flow. It told us, hey, we should at least, let's come back in here and let this load. We should at least be looking down here at 98,600 for support. Oh, by the way, a lot of times when you get these, you can drop a little bit lower. Let's talk about when we get these sell signals using Fibonacci, you probably want to at least be looking back down at the 0.5 level on Fibonacci. Guess where that comes in? Right here, we dropped below last night at 96.2, and you need to be aware for the potential chance of a golden pocket. That's coming in down here at 91,000. All of this being said, this isn't my opinion. I'm not telling you, oh, I think that. No, these are what the charts are saying. And if you learn how to read charts and you learn to use the proper indicators, you don't have to trust my opinion or any other else's opinion. You can use these charts for yourself and have a very good idea of when to buy and when to sell. So what was my mistake? My mistake was overthinking and not listening to these indicators back in August. Definitely not listening here in October when it was telling me to sell. The next time, and I'm promising you guys this right now, I don't care what the news is happening. The next time I get a weekly sell signal, I'm selling crypto. Not all of it, because some of it I have plans for a long 15, 20, 30-year future. But my short-term bag, I'm going to sell. Why? Because guess when else this indicator has told me to sell? It told me to sell back here in December when price was at 104. It told me to sell back here in, let's go back over here, in April of 2024 when the price was up at 71,000. It would go all the way down here towards 48. It also told me to sell right back here in April of 2023 when the price of Bitcoin was at 30,600. I could have got back in down towards 24 when it was telling me to buy. In a nutshell, I want to make sure we're very clear here. This is the reason we thought that lower levels could be coming in, because this indicator told us on the weekly chart pullbacks are coming. Now, let's get positive. Let's get positive here. Why do I still think, even after yesterday's fiasco, why do I still think the buy signals are rolling in? Well, the reason is the indicators look the exact same. If you watch yesterday's video, and I kind of highlighted a lot of altcoins, it's going to be the same thing for altcoins. We still have the daily buy signal in play. Yes, there's a little gray dot that's potentially flinching here today, but you still have reversals, bullish momentum, and positive money flow. I told you guys in yesterday's video, don't be surprised you see your little manipulation push, your little bend over. But the fact still stands that daily charts across the crypto space are absolutely flashing daily buy signals right now. And we have these misdirection moves that happen, and you got to be prepared for them. But this isn't the only thing, right? There's a couple things in yesterday's video that I told you. Be aware that this is actually extremely bullish. Another one. Let me get rid of this ad here. Bitcoin Fear and Greed Index, ladies and gentlemen. Yesterday, it came in at 15, the lowest we have seen since guess when? April of 2025, the last major low. Today, this is actually very weird. I don't really understand this. Today, it ticked up to 16. Now, what's very confusing about this is if you go over here and you look at the daily chart, that's the wrong screen right there. I've got a different chart up for my trades going on, so some of you just got a peep show at some of the trades that we're doing over the VIP trading group. We closed at 15 when Bitcoin closed at 101,500, right? The Bitcoin Fear and Greed Index that came out at 15 came out when the day ended on the 12th at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Price of Bitcoin was 101,515. All right, that was the exact price. The next day, last night, we closed at 99,600. So below $100,000, the lowest daily close that we have had since dating all the way back. You'd have to go back. We hadn't had a daily close that low since May of 2025, right? Because May 7th, we closed at 97,000. And then the very next day, we shot up and we closed up at 103. We haven't closed a daily candle this low in quite some time, and yet the Bitcoin Fear and Greed Index went up to 16. It went up a tick. Why? Not really sure. What you need to understand is this is extremely bullish, because when you look at the history of this move, I go to the max all time, the time period, take away my face here, Smay, for just a second, time periods where you drop to these low levels mark significant bottoms. Not just that, I told you guys, I thought that maybe we get closer to 10. I'm happy with 15. Unless something drastic happens in the next 5 hours, guess what? We're going to close today. You can bring my face back up here, Smay. We're going to close today even lower than yesterday. I would be extremely surprised if the Bitcoin Fear and Greed Index doesn't fall lower. Could it drop even all the way down to 10, especially if we close out here at 95,300? Either way, extreme fear with these buy signals are keeping me saying the bottom is either in, which of course it wasn't yesterday, it's lower today, or extremely close. Stick with me here because we got a lot to go through because I really want to rattle off to you the reasons that you should be bullish here right now. That's not the only thing though. So you got Bitcoin giving us daily buy signals. You got the fear and greed index giving us extremely strong fear, which is marked historically with bottom movements. What about a couple other things? Well, let's take a look at something a lot of people are talking about on the internet today, and it's something called the death cross. Now, scary name. If you haven't heard the death cross, I don't know how many people here haven't. The point of this is when the 50-day moving average, which is marked right here by yellow line, when it crosses below the 200-day moving average, marked here in purple, they call this the death cross. This means effectively you've been crashing really hard, and over the last 50 days, you're averaging a lower price than you were over the last 200 days. And the thought and the theory behind it is it's a death cross, meaning you are now reaching bearish territory. Watch out, you're in trouble, price is dropping. Now, some people in chat, don't spoil it too much. I want to teach here. Someone just said it though. Jamola says this is a lagging indicator, and he is dead on. I actually don't know if Jamola is a he or a she, but lagging indicator is dead on. Let's look at the history real quickly of death crosses. Let's be very clear. The death cross technically hasn't happened yet. It's either a day or two away, so it's probably going to happen this weekend. But let's take a look at the last couple of times. And I want to look at both bull markets and bear markets because there will be people on the internet who tell you, oh, we're in a bear market now, which means we're going to crash. Let's take a look at the last couple of times that the daily chart has had the 50 cross below the 200. And what does price look like leading into that event? And what does price look like coming out of that event? You don't have to go terribly far to see the last one. The last one happened back here. This year in 2025, back in, guess what, early April. It happened around the 6th of April, 2025. Let's take a look at what price action looks like during the death cross. Oh, would you look at that? That whole time period was the exact bottom of that large pullback where the bears were telling us the bear market's here. It ended up being the bottom, and over the next couple of months, Bitcoin would shoot up and hit a brand new all-time high. The death cross marked the bottom. But you know what? That's just one situation. That's just one time it happened. What about before that? Oh, let's go back over here the last time it happened. We got to go over here to August of 2024. Oh, would you look at that? The low of that whole pullback comes within a couple of days. Actually, the low came in a couple of days before, but you get the point here. The bottom of this whole pullback was marked within a few days of the death cross. Everything for the next couple of months would lead to the upside, new all-time highs coming in. I'll just kind of rip through a couple of these. It also happened back here in September of 2023. What was that? Oh, the bottom before a pullback. It also happened back here when you go back over here into January of 2022. Guess what, guys? This is a bear market, right? So let's just pretend we're in a bear market right now. Death cross happens. We bottom out. We actually have a dead cat bounce, but not just a small bounce right here. Bitcoin would rally back up 45% before putting in a lower high, and then the bear market was upon us. Even in a bear market, these death crosses end up being bullish. What I'm not going to say here, let's just look at a couple more here. June of 2021, bottom. Go back over here. We got March of 2020, bottom. Got back here, October 19, could have been a bottom, except for COVID kind of played its own role here. Even back in here, again, bear market again. Bear market comes in March of 18. It was a temporary bottom, and Bitcoin rallied here. Historically, and I'm just going to put this here at 95%, because I'm not going to go back all the way to the beginning of Bitcoin and just track all of them. 95% of these mark either a short-term bottom in a bear market or, more frequently, a major bottom before new all-time highs come in. Now, here's going to be the argument that you're going to get on the internet. Some people will tell you we're in a bear market. Okay, you can think that if you want. Some people, like myself, will say we're not in a bear market. The difference there will be, will we hit new all-time highs or not? But here's where you can't argue with us. This is where there's no evidence to say you shouldn't be expecting this. You should buy these dips, whether you believe we're in a bull market or a bear market, because even at the beginning of bear markets, we will get what's called a dead cat bounce. So what would I suggest you do? probably buy this dip, and then if you think we're in a bear market, just sell it back up here towards that 200-day SMA, somewhere in the world of $110,000. If that's the move you want to do, that's not what I'm going to do, because I think we're still in a bull market. We're going to go in the news here. We're going to talk about a lot of stories that kind of still point me towards a bullish projection coming. I just made up a word, projection. Sorry, guys. Sometimes my brain's interesting. Either way you see it, history suggests you buy this opportunity. And you're seeing, again, major crash come in. This is the time to be buying, because it does look like we should make a move to the upside. There's another reason, though. And I'm going to wrap up with this one. We'll look at some altcoins later on. I'm going to leave some time open for the Q&A. So if you came in saying, let's look at some altcoins, I want to talk about a chart that addresses altcoins without talking about altcoins themselves. But this is another reason why I'm bullish, and I mentioned this in my video yesterday, right? What we're kind of wrapping up here, if you guys are just coming in, yesterday I made a video why I'm buying, and I talked about some altcoins. Was that video a mistake, or do I stand by it? I stand by it, and one of the other indicators I showed you guys over there is even better today than it was yesterday. That's the Bitcoin Dominance Chart here, ladies and gentlemen. Bitcoin dominance, after sitting in some trending support here now for the last couple of weeks dating back to September, look at what it's doing today. We're back below 60. We are pushing to drop below 59% here right now, ladies and gentlemen. Why is this important? I've said this so many times, and I want to say it again. Show me in history a bear market or a sustained bearish move for Bitcoin where the Bitcoin dominance is also falling. I can think of two situations in the history of Bitcoin and its relationship to the Bitcoin dominance chart. There are two times where Bitcoin's price is falling at the same time that Bitcoin dominance is falling. You want to know what those two times were? Altcoin seasons. Now, am I saying this is altcoin season right now? I'm not going to say that, because I think things are changing here. My overall point is bear markets do not. Let me start this sentence over and make sure people are listening. Bear markets do not see Bitcoin dominance falling. Bear markets see people get out of the riskier assets, altcoins, and find safe haven, not just in a stable coin or the US dollar or stocks or gold. They would flood more to Bitcoin instead of the other altcoins. And yet right now, as we're seeing this collapse happen, I'm not saying alts didn't fall yesterday, but some of you will realize altcoins really aren't that bad today compared to Bitcoin. Why? Because the Bitcoin dominance is falling. That means people are selling more Bitcoin right now than they're selling altcoins. If we're entering into a bear market, ladies and gentlemen, that makes zero sense to be selling more Bitcoin than altcoins at this moment. What it does kind of scream at me is that people want some liquidity to buy the dip because they know something big is coming. Do I know something you don't know? No, I don't have a phone call with every major composite man player in the world who's telling me the exact playbook of how it's going to happen. I don't know exactly what it's going to look like. What I'm doing is studying the signs and studying the history, and I'm looking at this and I'm saying, let me compute and take into all of the information coming at me from the news, from the charts, and everything happening. Does this look like a bear market? If this is a bear market, this is the weirdest and worst bear market that's ever existed. And by the way, we just had the worst bull market that ever existed, so maybe that logically makes sense. But you get my drift here. Nothing makes sense about these signs pointing towards a bear market. I'm going to rest. I'm going to let you chew on that for a second. Smash the like right now if you guys are enjoying this content. Let's talk and flip into some news with Shrum to also talk why I just really struggle thinking this isn't an amazing buying opportunity. Shrum, take it away. What's happening in the news here?
Yeah, absolutely, Tim. Well, I want to dispel a myth that is circulating around the internet and Twitter. This is that did Saylor sell $4 billion worth of Bitcoin today? The answer is no. Let's move on. BLS will be publishing employment data. This is breaking news. This is very important. November 20th now becomes a very important day because the employment situation, this is going to be a special report. I think they're going to probably do some comprehensive assessments here. It's not just going to be a print. We'll have to see. But anyway, data for employment picture in the U.S. coming out November 20th. That's November 20, next week. What's the night? And the 19th is NVIDIA earnings. So could see some interesting fireworks next week. Let's move on. Michael Saylor, in fact, is not selling. He is buying. Michael Saylor of Strategy rallies the bulls. He said expects Bitcoin to rally from here. He said that when Bitcoin was at 95.5, 95,500, Strategy is buying quite a lot of Bitcoin. So there's clips out there. You guys can go see for yourself on our channel at Tim Warren Trades. Make sure you're following us on Twitter. That is where Michael Saylor said that he, on CNBC, he said he's buying Bitcoin on behalf of Strategy, obviously, and Strategy shareholders. Tether CEO Paolo Ardonio says it's Bitcoin Black Friday. It is Friday, by the way. Thank God that it is. Tether is institutions, right? So when we talk about this being the institutional cycle, it absolutely is. And Tether is very, very quickly becoming one of the most important institutions in the world, as it is the 7th or 8th largest, along with the other stablecoin providers. It is the 7th or 8th largest buyer of U.S. bonds, right? So that is very important. So when he says things, it's not insignificant. When Paolo Ardoni, I don't know why I made myself try to read that word again. Read that name. Chance of a rate cut in December falls to 56% from 71% yesterday. This is the tweet from yesterday. The reason I'm reading this is because of the two quotations here. We'll hear from a third fresh quotation in just a minute here. But Fed Daly says, really think there is a premium on waiting to decide on rates until you have as much information as possible. And then Fed Collins said Wednesday there should be a high bar for further easing by the Federal Reserve in the months ahead, projecting that the Fed should likely keep rate policy at the current level for some time. And then just a few minutes ago, Fed Logan said it is not appropriate to deliver more preemptive insurance to the labor market via a rate cut. So that brings us to the question, are they going to cut these freaking rates in December or not? Right now, the poly market spread has it at not. And this morning, when you all tuned into morning news hosted by myself, Taylor Shrum, I told you that it was still more likely than not that the Fed was going to cut in December. That is no longer the case. As of about 11 a.m. Eastern Time, New York time, the odds switched. So it is now more likely, it is now 51% likely that there's no change in December to the federal rate cut. And Tom Lee has actually gotten ahead of this. You can go off my screen now. And Tom Lee has said, hey, this is actually bullish because the reason that the Fed is giving for not cutting the rates is that the economy is humming along, that the employment picture and the inflation picture are balanced. Whether or not that's true, we're going to find out, it looks like, on November 20th. Tim, though, when you're listening to Tom Lee kind of talk about, try to soothe the markets as they're getting this new information that the Fed may not cut in December, what are your thoughts here? And this is driving the market, right? The Fed spread here on whether or not they're going to cut in December is what's driving the markets, at least on the surface. Obviously, we know there's manipulation going on, and they use these headlines. But what are your thoughts here on the Fed not cutting in December?
Yeah, I'm not going to say I'm the opposite of Tom Lee because it's not opposite. It's just different, right? Tom Lee is saying, the reason they're not cutting rates is because they say the economy is bullish, which, to be fair, if they thought the economy was falling apart, they'd be cutting rates. Why? Because that's what they do. But what they're doing, I disagree with him that their main reason is that the economy is doing so well. It has more to do, I think, with convenient timing and crushing any types of hopes that anyone ever gets about these markets, right? We just went through a period of the longest government shutdown in U.S. history. At first, it was a little bullish for the markets, but of course, you guys can track the market timeline. About a week or so into the shutdown, things started really taking a turn for the worse for crypto. Some stocks held up well, but even stocks started to struggle. And there was this overwhelming feeling that we've shared as well, that when the government would open back up, this would be very bullish. Of course, what happens a couple of days before, we know that the government is going to open back up. The markets start to bounce. We start to get some bullish rally. They announce officially, boom, government is now back open. The markets go even a little bit higher. And then as soon as we start to get some momentum for the bulls, the Fed comes out. And by the way, we say the Fed, 2 members of the Fed, of 12 voters come out and say, oh, yeah, not so certain we're going to need to cut rates in December. Their biggest reason for this, by the way, isn't again, what I heard from them wasn't that the economy is doing quite well. What I kind of heard was, well, due to not having data, because the government shut down, and you can be upset at Trump or you can think it's right. Trump's not releasing data. They don't have any data to go on. They're not going to make any decision. I just don't know how to twist this in any way other than it just feels. And I'm not pointing a finger at one person. I'm pointing a finger at many. I'm pointing at people in Washington. I'm pointing at people from the Fed. I'm pointing at people from Binance. I'm pointing at people from BlackRock. I'm pointing it to very wealthy individuals. It just is continued manipulation that does not allow retail investors to catch a break here in the markets. They are working day in and day out to crush your soul and crush your spirit to convince you there's no possible way a bull run could come. So sell everything before it's too late, in loss, some of you, and then never come back to the markets ever again. Okay? That's what I see playing out. But the minute anything good happens, something has to flip a switch and print out some sort of FUD. Let's be very clear here, though. This FUD doesn't even make sense. And I'll explain why the FUD doesn't make sense. And yet they're playing the people like a fiddle and people are falling for it. 2 members of 12 say that they might not cut rates. I'm not a mathematician, but 2 of 12 is not enough to get that done. I would really love to hear what the other 10 have to say before we make any type of big swings here. Other thing we know about. The next FOMC day is going to be December 10th. Guys, that's a month away. It's only November 14th. Do we really have such short-term memories to not remember earlier this year how quickly these things can change? I mean, heck, guys, 2 people from the Fed say something semi-bearish, and in less than 24 hours, we go from a 76% chance of a rate cut in December to less than 50. Do we not think in the next month something else could happen that changes them right back to it? That's my first line of saying, why are we believing this FUD? My second line would be, let's just pretend that we don't cut rates in December. Why is that really that bad? We're going to end QT in December. We have favorable regulation coming out. The economy is still showing numbers that are doing well. We will have other numbers coming out, by the way, kind of reflecting all this. I don't think it's the end of the world. I don't think that we're in a full-blown bear market just because we take a month off of cutting rates, even if that is where it goes, even though I'm not necessarily saying that that's what's happening. I'm just saying that's not the worst thing in the world, and yet the market is responding like we just heard that the sky is falling. In a nutshell, there was an excuse needed, right? Eliminate everything else. Wipe the slate clean. Composite man theory, ladies and gentlemen. Hey, have we crushed the retail spirit yet? No, we really haven't. People are getting hopeful again. People are looking forward to the government shutdown and being told the government shutdown will be bullish for them. So people are starting to enter longs again. They're feeling bullish. Maybe the bear market's not here. We have another opportunity to crush their soul. What do? Tell Fed members to say that we're not going to cut rates. It's not a great idea. It was just the best they had. They already had planned they wanted to sell off. They already decided they wanted to come down to the 90s. They just needed a trigger or an excuse. But when you really unpacked it all and you look at things, you're like, wait, this isn't even that bad of fun. We've been through 10 times worse in the last year, and yet this feels like the straw that breaks the camel's back. I don't read it that way. I read this as calculated calculated excuses to do what the markets want to do in the first place, and that was bring Bitcoin back down into the mid to lower 90s. That's what I see this as. And then as soon as they get their price levels and the composite man gets to eat his nice discounted prices on not just Bitcoin, not just altcoins, gold's been falling. They get to eat their nice fill of gold. They get to get back into stocks that have been falling. Now, all of a sudden, retail's sold out. The big boys got their lows. Oh, never mind, we'll cut rates in December, or something else that just lends the market up, and retail's left on the side. And here's what they're doing to you. I've said a lot right there. I'm a talker. That's why I do a YouTube channel. Let me also tell you why I think the bottom's close, / I think that retail investors are going to hate what I'm saying right now and say that I'm an idiot and I'm a clown, but I don't think I am. We've told you this whole time that they are going to shake you for your lunch money until you give up. Until all the weak retail holders are gone. What is the overall sentiment you've heard on X right now? Let's think about this. The only bad news in the last 48 hours is that the Fed, 2 members of the Fed, is saying they might not cut rates in December. And the markets are lower than they've been in months. Despite the fact that the government reopened, Quantitative easing is a couple of weeks away from ending, which will be liquidity. The money printers are stirring. Regulation, we talk about crypto, right? There's a crypto channel. Regulation for both crypto and certain stocks in the AI field are going to be released for more money to come in. And yet, people are so absolutely bearish. Why? Because they have been being conditioned by the composite man to ignore any type of bullish news whatsoever. Bad news is bad. Good news is bad. What does that mean? Everything's bad. Sell off. It's like when they teach animals to respond to a certain sound. This sound means it's time to eat. And this sound means it's time to get in the field. And this sound means lay down or you're going to have pain inflicted. They are conditioning you so that when good news actually comes out, you've learned good news isn't good. I'm not listening. I'm not following. They could announce anything in the world and retail investors are going to say, nope, we're in a bear market. It's all dead. It's all gone. I'm not buying. You're not going to trick me again. I'm not falling for that little lie where you give me a bullish headline and dump on me. And then the minute they see retail's unwilling to buy, that means there is no competition to buy these dips. The composite man and his buddies, they all buy their fill. Then they send prices new all-time high. And when they're ready to sell, that's when they come back and say, oh, we were wrong. It turns out everything's bullish. You guys should come back and buy. This thing's going to go even higher. And then they flip it. They sell on you. This is the playbook of the composite man. By the way, this isn't just what we've seen play out over the last couple of years and decades. Just look at how they've moved prices since 2024, January 2024. You don't have to be here this long. This is the playbook they use to tell us when it's time to buy and when it's time to sell, because they're doing the exact opposite of us to manipulate price. Now, I want to make clear, I'm not saying that I've pinpointed perfectly every top and every single bottom. Definitely not to the dollar. We've been pretty close on some levels because of the indicators we use. But my strategy to combat this, you might be saying, Tim, how do I avoid this manipulation that plays with our minds all the time? One of the best strategies you can have is to have a portfolio of HODL, meaning I don't care what they say, bullish, bearish, or anything. I don't care if I round trip this bull market into the bear market. They're not going to convince me to sell this asset because I know this asset in the next 5, 10, 15, 20 years will be so much more worth it than dollars at this point in the game. Then have your portfolio you play with. Have your portfolio that you say, you know what? I'm going to try to read the composite man. I'm going to try to pinpoint when I think they're buying and when I think they're selling. Split that portfolio and make sure you have room so that no matter what happens, you are okay in both directions. People ask, Tim, how are you still optimistic? How are you still feeling good right now about these markets? If you just look at my HODL portfolio, guys, I'm down. I think I'm pushing close to 50% where I was a month and a half ago. I have lost thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars in the last month and a half. I've also gained thousands and thousands of dollars because I have my HODL portfolio and I have my trading portfolio. My trading portfolio right now is extremely positive because I'm longing and shorting and playing the game with the composite man. My HODL portfolio, it's down right now, but let's check back in a year from now, 2 years from now, 5 years from now. It'll be extremely, extremely higher. And I'm not going to risk trying to pinpoint all the tops and bottoms. I'm moving things in and out. I'm going to hodl on for years. The strategy's worked now for 15 years for Bitcoiners. I think it's going to keep working for the next 15. That's my strategy. Shrum, how about you?
Yeah. I mean, I have a little bit of a different strategy, but essentially it's the same ethos, right? The same heartbeat, which is you got to buy the dips. And that might sound a little bit redundant, might sound like a broken record, but you got to buy low and you got to sell high as an investor. And right now we are low. Could we go lower? Yes, we could go lower. But you have to buy the dips. And it was a little bit discouraging to see a lot of the reactions to a tweet that you put out earlier this week, Tim, when you said, if you're not buying these dips, you might as well go ahead and exit the market because this is as good as it gets. That wasn't what you said word for word, but there was a lot of folks that responded to that tweet that kind of it hit my spirit different, right? As they say, because there's a lot of people saying, oh my gosh, Tim, how could you say this? People are hurting. People are fundamentally missing how investment is. First of all, natural selection never stopped, right? There's that aspect of all this too. And we try to, with our channel, try to guide people to be able to have the tools to overcome, a lot of the pitfalls that folks would fall into historically, that there's nobody to help them out. They may read a book by Benjamin Graham, but that's about it. That's all there was. Now, there's communities like ours that helps folks remember, hey, look, you came to the market to buy low so that you can sell high.
Yeah.
Don't sell low, because that's missing the whole point of it. We're low right now. Tim and I are going live, taking our time out of our day to remind you we are low in an asset that billionaires over the last 5 years have been aggressively buying. Okay. Are there people selling? Yes. There are. That's what makes a market. There's people who are buying and selling this asset, but Bitcoin. But this asset has trended, if you zoom out, from 3,000 to 15,000 to 50,000 to 75,000 to 80,000 to 100 to 126,000, right? There has not been a point where this asset was under so much question that the people buying it stopped buying it for a prolonged period of time, right? This asset has been getting net bought, right? It's like gold, right? I'm not the first person to compare Bitcoin to gold, but maybe that's what you need to hear right now. This is digital gold. Before the internet, gold was the only gold around, maybe silver, right? But now that the internet exists and we're all connected through this advanced alien technology, Bitcoin has become the new gold. Gold is still gold, but Bitcoin has now been elevated to that shelf of digital scarcity that did not exist before, couldn't exist before. So
Yeah.
if you're listening to the sound of my voice and you're forgetting that you're supposed to buy low, I'm here to tell you to buy low.
I'm going to cover a couple of questions here. We're going to get into Q&A time. So I see Nafel, I think, is saying Bitcoin is dumping. Bitcoin is down to 94.3. We're going to look at charts here in a little bit. I want to respond to another question, though, coming in here. It says, let me see here. I think you guys are missing the point. This is from Reiki. I don't know how to say that name, but I think you guys are missing the point. Many people don't have money left to buy the dip. All right. I get it. Absolutely get it. I think I said this the other day. I have people DM me all the time. I really got to crack down on stop responding to every DM that comes in, especially as our channel grows larger. I can't respond to everybody. I have that delusion where I think I can help every single person in the world, and then I end up wasting my time a lot because people don't want to listen anyway. But I have some people that DM me, and people, they're begging me to tell them exactly where to buy because they have this much money. They want to buy the dip. Well, I want to buy right here. And I say, okay, that's a great spot. I think that's a good support level. What happens if we drop below there? They're like, oh, you think we can drop below there? Well, then I don't want to buy at that level. And it's just like, guys, I don't know. I don't know where the exact bottom is. I don't know where the exact top is. I know where there are good support levels, and I know where there's good resistance levels, right? I can use analysis to do that. I cannot predict the exact bottoms or the exact tops of everything. So when we say we're buying the dip, I want to be clear about what we mean when we say buying the dip. And I'm going to have to remind people about this next week and the week after, but it's whatever. I'm going to help people. Never in the history of ever, except for maybe early days when I didn't know a lot about investing. When I tell you guys that I'm buying the dip, let's pretend I had $10,000 of cash. And I say, oh, Bitcoin's hitting a nice support level right here. Let's buy the dip. Do you think I'm using all $10,000 to buy the dip right there? Heck no. Well, what if that was the bottom? It could be. And you want to know what? There's been several times where I've had cash on the side and I say, you know what? That looks like a good bottom there. Let me buy some. And it ended up being the bottom. And then we took off to new all-time highs. And I had cash left sitting on the side. That happens. Why? Because I don't know perfectly what's going to happen. But I want to make sure that I get access, that I lower my cost average. But you know what I'm going to do? Is I'm going to hold on to some cash in case we go a little bit lower. Now, at a certain point, yes, eventually that cash is going to run out. So how do I make sure, like when you guys hear me every single month, it feels like saying, I'm buying the dip, I'm buying the dip, I'm buying the dip. You might be saying, gosh, man, where's Tim getting all this cash from? Well, number one, the Lord has blessed me to where we make money. I have a duty to take care of my family, take care of my wife, take care of my children. We do things. I spend my money wisely, and I make sure that I have a budget so that of my income every single month, a certain percentage, a certain amount goes towards my investment portfolio, right? So I'm constantly getting new cash every single month because I'm budgeting my income. The number two thing that I do, though, is having different portfolios. I have a long-term HODL portfolio, and I have a short-term trading portfolio. And if you missed our webinar last Saturday, you guys can go back and watch it. ask about it in Discord. We did post in Discord, but you definitely can go ask about it as well. We talked about Tim's 10 rules for trading. And one of the rules in Tim's 10 rules for trading is making sure you have an understanding and a plan for your trading portfolio. For me, I'm not using my trading portfolio to buy a new car or to buy a brand new house or to take my family on a brand new crazy vacation because I had a really good month of trading. Now, I want to care for my family and do all those things, but the purpose of my trading portfolio is to make money to go buy the dips. So remember earlier when I told you my HODL portfolio is down over the last month and a half, my trading portfolio is up. What am I doing? I'm not building my trading portfolio for my $10,000 a month up to $1 million a month because I'm having all these gains. I am constantly taking my profits of my trading, looking for dip opportunities, and using that as dry powder as well. So when people say, I don't have money to buy the dip, I feel you. I get you. If you don't have money to buy the dip, you don't have any other income coming in, HODL on. That you can still HODL on. Or you can go back to work, and I can't hold your hand with this. I can't tell you what to do. All I can tell you is try to find a way, number one, to work with your budget, work with your income, save as much as possible to have dry powder every month for these types of moves. The other thing is learn how to trade. Learn how to make money, whether the markets are bullish or bearish, with longs and shorts, and then use that profit to have cash to keep buying the dip. So I feel it out there. We're not missing the point. We understand some people don't have cash. What I'm telling you is this is why education is so important. This is why planning is so important. You plan for what could be, but you also plan for what you're not expecting just in case. And you have different strategies to make sure you have cash on the side, that you never spend all of it at one given moment. You're preparing yourself for a long but sure thing in a smart trajectory with the investment, not just over the next week, over the next couple of years, over the next 10 years, 15 years, 20 years. Create good plans now to have long-term success. That's how we sit here and tell you we're not worried about dips like this. Why? Because we're constantly finding ways to get cash to buy the dips. For you, might look a little bit different than me, but there's a way to do it out there. So if you want questions, if you want to know how to do it, again, this is one of the things we do teach people. We're not financial advisors. I think I said that 100 times now, but we do help coach people on how to create their own strategies and their own plans. Once you get that plan and strategy, I can't even begin to tell you the amount of success stories we've had in our Discord of people messaging us, especially over the last couple of weeks. Like we've had, I think this week alone, I've had like 5 or 6 people message me saying, Tim, I've been failing for the last couple of years of trading, but I just joined your group. I just started using your indicators. I'm learning how to actually use risk management, and I am profitable for the first time in years. And that is during a bear trend. So I encourage you, invest in your education, learn about strategies. And if you think, like, I want to be very clear also, like I'm winning trades, right? I'm winning about 95% of my trades right now. Do you think that means that I'm winning, like I'm doubling my portfolio every hour? No. Like there's days I walk away, my trading portfolio is only up 10%, right? You don't have to double your portfolio every single day to make money. Sometimes the longer, slower process is much more profitable. So don't try to eat the whole elephant in one bite. Learn to take chunks out, bite by bite, learn proper risk management, be patient, and success will come. Success will come, but you got to have a plan, you got to have a study project, and you got to invest in your education. Real quick, before we get into it, let's get some questions. Let's do some altcoin TA as we wrap out the week. We will look at Bitcoin here in a second. I did want to give you a word from one of our sponsors. Some of you might be saying, Tim, I don't have a whole lot of capital to trade with. I only have a little bit. Well, that's where a thing like a prop trading firm could really come into handy. And we partner with a great prop trading firm called Breakout. For example, this gives us the ability to trade with more capital than we actually have and not get into the danger zone of having to use leverage, right? In this case, for example, I've told this story several times, but one of the earliest weeks we used Breakout, we had a weekend, we used $1,000 and purchased with that $1,000 an $100,000 account on Breakout. And in just one weekend made $34,000. Now, that doesn't happen every single weekend, right? But there's a long-term profitable thing here because instead of, if I only had $1,000 or only $500, I can only make so much money if I'm trading with that money alone. And if I do use leverage, I'm kind of putting myself in a little more risk here. Using Breakout, I actually can get more capital with less risk and still reap the rewards of 5%, 10%, 15% gains. Stop chasing the 200, 500, 800% gains on every single trade. Sometimes settle for 5%, 10%, 15%. Win 90% of your trades, and then long term, you won't even realize how fast you'll double your portfolio if you're only getting 5 to 10% wins per day, but you're being consistent. And one of the ways to do that and feel good about it and get that wealth a little quicker is by using Breakout. So go check out the link down below. They're also in our link tree. So if you go into the description, let me show you guys actually what this looks like. Go to my screen here. You're watching this great video right here. Look at this thumbnail made by Smay. Great thumbnail here. Go into the description. Scroll down here into our link tree. You're going to see this ad right here under check out our sponsors. You will see something that looks a little bit like this. And boom, right here, third one down, Breakout Crypto Prop Trading. Use discount code TIM. Tell them we sent you and start trading with Breakout today. Let's check out the chat. My voice is starting to go. I've been feeling a lot better. My voice is still very weak. Some of you guys know I'd strep out at the beginning of the week. Lord willing, Monday I'm back and things are good. But what coins you guys want to take a look at as we're kind of wrapping this out here? While I'm waiting for chat to say that, let's take a look real quickly at Bitcoin. Bitcoin here on lower time frames, going back to my screen here, Smay, is down to a new daily low, right? We're down here towards 95,200. We're spending a little bit of time here. Here's something to be aware of. You know, this could end up being bad volume to go lower. I think I agree with chat here. Chat is polled today saying 92 looks pretty likely. I've been telling our VIP trading group, I feel like 92 is where we get to before this bottom is in. But I am paying attention to this higher volume that's coming in here during this pullback to the support level. I also am aware here, again, these could end up being false. Remember, I told you guys I'm a 90% trader, not 100%, because even though this indicator is phenomenal, it's not perfect. It's not always going to make it. But right now, the reason why, I'll be honest with you guys, I'm in a long right now on Bitcoin, a little short long, a little scalp long, let me be clear here, is because at the moment, I'm not longing up to like $130,000, by the way, guys. I'm just a little long. We're under a weekly buy signal, green reversals, bullish momentum, positive money flow. I got a 2-hour buy signal, green reversals when it loads here. When it loads, right? There you go. Green reversals, bullish momentum, positive money flow. We're very close to getting a 4-hour buy signal, right? Green reversals. Now the money flow is slowing down. The oscillator looks like it wants to turn. We're sitting on some support right here, some key levels. So I'm still utilizing this as, hey, I'm going to take a risk here and I'm going to look for a trade. I have a very conservative stop loss. If I lose this trade, I will not lose that much money. I've already won like 3 trades today. So I have cash. If I lose a little bit, I'll still be profitable here. In a nutshell, though, I am looking at this, looking at these indicators and saying it looks like we want to have a little pop back up. What I would imagine that could look like, if it does happen, is not saying 92 doesn't happen, but I do think there's a chance we could pop back up here. I think 100 would be asking for a lot. I do think somewhere in the world of 98 to 99 is doable. Could we make a little bit higher up towards 100? Sure. What would that ultimately mean for Bitcoin's price? It would mean after kind of using that area for support, we're kind of coming up here and using that former support area as resistance before making our final dip down and reaching somewhere around that $92,000 level. That's kind of what I see playing out. But I don't know for sure. What I'm going to do right now is I'm going to trade the charts. The charts are telling me buy signal. The charts are telling me look for a little bounce right here. When I get sell signals up here, if I get sell signals up there, I will re-enter a short and look for moves further to the downside. So that's my plan right now. Again, all the details of how I'm trading that are in our Discord at the moment. So if you want to check that out, VIP trading group, go sign up for that today as well in that same link tree and in the description down below. Any coins you guys saw that we want to cover today?
Yeah. Folks talking about HBAR, TAO, Chainlink.
Okay. We did look at Chainlink yesterday, so I'm going to hold off on that one. Let's look at TAO. TAO, of course, you know, if you look at TAO, it's down here more recently, but TAO's actually kind of held up pretty well, all things considered, throughout the rest of this market. I mean, almost every other coin here in the daily chart is either down towards recent lows or lower than them, and TAO's held up really well, partially because it's in the AI space. I think TAO is going to be one of the best altcoins out there, right? I'm actually kind of thinking, you know, I have a portfolio right now around, I want to say I have like 12 tokens in it. I need to go back and check it to make the final count. I'm considering creating a certain portfolio, probably like 4 or 5 coins, and keeping it really nice and concise. I want to finish building it out, but I can tell you right now, TAO is absolutely a contender. Like if I was going to say, hey, these are 4 or 5 coins to keep it concise, TAO would be one of those coins I absolutely put in that portfolio. Let's just check out, see what TAO has going on for it, because its chart is going to be different right now than Bitcoin's. Now, we'll say, unlike the rest of the place, we didn't have a recent daily buy signal. The recent signal actually was bearish. Let's just see how that one played out, right? We had this bear signal back on November 3rd. What does that mean? Oh, would you look at this, guys? If you had sold back here on November 3rd, you would have sold TAO at 485. And this chart would have told you, sell at 485 and take profit down here at 348. Now, it went a little lower there, but great example of a good trade right there. The good news here for TAO holders is the daily chart right here is starting to lean towards a bullish case here. We have a slight bullish divergence in play. This is where our oscillator has a lower high put in at the same time period, price action lows put in a higher low. We are very close to turning the money flow positive and getting positive momentum dots. We already have the green reversals. So look for that for the next little bit. That could come soon, but I don't know exactly when, so I'm not going to try to pinpoint that and predict it. I'm not saying enter your long here right now on that daily chart. Wait for it. What about lower time frames? Let's look down here. Again, kind of similar to Bitcoin. Very close to a 4-hour buy signal. I'm going to assume this is where you do find some similarities. Yeah, we got a 2-hour buy signal, a 1-hour buy signal. I'm going to say let's go to the 2-hour. That would be about as high as I'm comfortable saying. Again, I told you, daily chart not quite ready yet. I think just like Bitcoin, it could go a little bit lower here. You got to wait for all these signs to come to fruition. Oh, man, it got pretty close to where I think it was going to get. I really wouldn't put it too much higher than maybe getting as high here as like 349, 350, right here towards the smart trail, top of this order block. I mean, you still have a decent little trade opportunity right now, currently at 333. Where I'd put my stop loss, again, I'm not going to go into that detail here, but I could see a short-term move here on BitTensor TAO up here. But the bigger thing to think about, because some of you guys are not traders, some of you just want to know, Tim, when do I buy for long-term stuff? Daily buy signals can give you a couple of weeks, right? So if you're saying I'm willing to buy now and sell in a couple of weeks, daily buy signal, kind of getting close to us there. How about the weekly here? Look in here because that's technically kind of almost giving us a weekly sell signal here. But I wondered this one. I always like to study before I just pinpoint things. I like to study the history of those moves. Pretty good sell signal. Pretty good sell signal. Sometimes the sell signals are a little early and you have to wait for it to play out. Where would this project the bottom move would be for TAO? Because I don't love how that weekly chart looks. Okay. It's had its own world here, right? I could see a world in which crypto goes up and TAO gets left a little bit behind temporarily. I would be buying dips between here and there, but the weekly chart right now suggests it is not ridiculous for a $228 BitTensor TAO. All right. So, what did we talk about earlier? Don't put all. If you said, Tim, I have $10,000 to buy TAO right now, I am not telling you to buy all $10,000 when you see that daily buy signal. Save some cash for down here. Heck, you know what? You should save some for 170 just in case. Why? Because there's a trending level of support right down at that level. So save your cash. Buy dips along the way. Look for lower time frame buy signals to get in and out of trades. But weekly chart, not sitting in the exact spot I would love to see here for TAO. But I would say if we can get another positive movement here, you can see here we've had a couple fake outs. If we get a green dot on here and cancel this out, we could make a move up. But for right now, I'm going to look down here towards 230 and say that's a level to keep an eye on for TAO. All right, go off my screen here. We're going to probably wrap it up there. We'll be back next week. We'll do some more Q&A. Guys, we have several pro traders. If you're sitting here saying, Tim, I want more technical analysis. I want to know about my favorite coin. Well, that's another reason join that VIP trading group because we got several pro traders that are live every single day going through these trades, going through the markets. I'll be honest with you guys, I'm doing quite well. Anyone following my trades is profitable right now in their trading journey. Our other pro traders might even be better than me. Like they might actually be making more trades and better trades than I am. So I'm kind of a conservative trader if you haven't picked up on that. I have some guys in there that are more aggressive, but they're very lethal at their entries and exits. Go check it out. Also, right after this, Crux Decrypted, just let me know in chat. He'll be live with Fundamental Fridays. You get access to this when you're in our free Discord. So even if you don't want to sign up for the VIP training group, go sign up for the free one. Go watch his Friday fundamentals. He just kind of goes through his thoughts on markets, his thoughts on which coins are good, which coins are not good. Check him out. Smash the like button on your way out. Make sure you're subscribed to the channel. We'll be back on Monday. Is the market going to be bottomed out by then? We'll let you know. Come back on Monday. We'll talk about it every single day. See you guys then.